After Galactica's water supplies are sabotaged, Boomer finds water on a nearby moon. But it is in the form of ice, and must be mined. This will require a crew of around 1,000. As that number cannot be spared from Galactica's crew, and it is unlikely civilians will volunteer, President Roslin decides to try getting help from the prisoners on the Astral Queen. The offer is refused by Tom Zerk and the Galactica delegation is taken hostage. A Marine platoon led by Starbuck enters the Astral Queen and things get messy. However, at the end Liadama and Tom Zerk make a deal and prisoners are screened for the water mining mission.
Sit down. I'm Lieutenant Thrace. Gunner Gun, that's quite a name. Rapist. Life without parole. Why should I let you get off the Astral Queen? What's your story?
It's a long story. How much time do you have?
Get started. The moment you start bullshitting me, you out of here and going nowhere.
As you know from my file, I used to be a security consultant with the Ministry of Defense, checking for intruders into the ministry's data network, tracking down the hackers and eliminating the threats, that sort of thing. We were pretty busy with all the religious terrorists. The ministry was a prime target for cyber attacks. About 3 years before the attack on the colonies, I detected a Trojan horse in one of the most sensitive areas of Caprica's defense systems. You know, an application that masquerades as a legitimate program but whose real purpose is to grant a hacker unauthorized system access. Once they're in and have root access, they can do whatever they like. So I'm trying to track down the origin of the Trojan horse. I'm setting up monitors to watch for any access to the Trojan horse, and I also look for similar code patterns being installed anywhere in the entire colonial defense systems. Months pass by and nothing happens. After almost a year I catch another Trojan horse being installed, and this one I can track down. I identify the computer's physical location which led me to this building. The building is owned by a foundation which traces back to the late Dr. Dirt, who used to work for the ministry as an expert on Cylon technology. He used to work for Greystone Industries before the Cylon War. I set up a video and data surveillance system for the building, and the famous Dr. Gispelfar is regularly entering. I decided that I needed to get a look inside. Going old school, I simulate a power failure for the building and pose as a utility maintenance guy to get in. I knew Gis wasn't there, and I was curious who would open the door. "Good morning, ma'am. I'm from Caprica Energy. There's a power outage. I would like to come in and check the electrical installations in the house." "Where are they?" "In the basement."
Thank you very much, sir. We are doing just fine. The backup power kicked in as it is supposed to be.
"Ma'am, I really have to have a look at your equipment."
Good luck with this and have a good day.
"Oh man, that Gis guy keeps a Trojan horse full of Amazons in his house." Still interested in the story?
Keep going.
As the direct approach had failed, I started to work the files. I had one clue to work with: the foundation connected to Dr. Dirk owning the house. Dirk had worked for Greystone Industries prior to the Cylon Rebellion. As soon as the war broke out, Greystone Industry was shut down and all its people, assets, and files went under the control of the Ministry of Defense. So I started digging into the files, and here's what I found. Remember the Battle of Atlas Arena from history class? The monotheistic terrorists were planning a suicide attack at the arena, while the Greystones were charged with terrorism by the Ministry of Defense agents, supposedly for masterminding the Soldier of One terrorist Benstock's suicide attack on Magog 23, which killed their daughter Zoe and everybody else on board the train. They managed getting remote access to the battalion of U-87s.
Now starting to move into a formation.
Hurry up, Daniel. Fire.
The Cylons eliminate the terrorists. In the aftermath of the battle, Daniel and Amanda Greystone were cleared of the terrorism charges. And the Cylons started their wide deployment as battle robots. What you don't find in the history books is how the Greystones, while connecting with her late daughter in the V room, decided to create a physical copy of Zoe. It took them years to get things working, but eventually they successfully activated the new Zoe in Daniel's private lab. Under pressure from its board of directors, Greystone Industries is challenged to create new product lines to advance its best-selling holobank technology, which despite all the marketing and branding was mainly used as personal adult entertainment device. A Dr. Dirk steps up to the challenge and suggests the development of sex robots leveraging the experience the company has in robotics. Dirk shows a video clip with this vision in the board meeting. The board accepts the proposal and makes Dirk the chief scientist of the new subsidiary. The new company is named Care4U Enterprise, and the product will be marketed as a physical and emotional companion robot to deflect criticism from the prudish and religious investors. With the breakout of the Cylon War, Greystone was dismantled and key personnel was contracted by the Ministry of Defense as experts on Cylon technology, including Dirk. From what I saw, he must have secretly kept working on 6 in his private lab. Gaius Baltar, while studying in Caprica, interned at the Ministry of Defense. This was about 15 years before the attack on the colonies. And guess who he was working for? Dr. Dirk. That's what I got from the Greystone Industries files. A few years later, Dirk developed cancer and was about to die. He must have picked Gaius to continue his legacy, Project 6. And what on earth did he choose? Gaius had this rare combination of computer science and medical/biological skills at the highest level, and it took him only a few years to perfect his creations, as I found out later. Next, I was checking all video footage from my surveillance camera, and I got a few good pictures of the beautiful women. Then I was running face recognition software over all public video footage I could get my hands on. I wanted to see if I could get any clues about them being robots and what they were up to. I didn't figure out what they were up to, but I found them in some interesting places, and that's where things got political, very political. You may wonder why Gaius and President Richard Adair were close, right? It's not that the president admired a nerd who had won 3 Magna Prizes. Adair wouldn't look up to anyone anyway.
Today, we're talking with Dr. Gaius Baltar.
Thank you, Kellen.
Well, they met during a Magna Prize award ceremony while Adair is still mayor of Caprica City. But then Gaius gives Adair a gift to his first presidential inauguration, one of the 6 prototypes. And Adair falls in love with it, or should I say gets addicted. Over the years, Adair gets supplied with the latest prototypes from Gaius' private lab, and that's how the two become best buddies. Actually, they became brothers-in-law. More than that, really, as they were freaking the same women. While Adair became an addict to the 6 products, Gaius was in love with his own creations. I'm not sure what he loved more, how they were sucking him off or that he created them. I guess the latter.
You're so old.
Yeah, those two.
You love me, guys.
This was all pretty bad already, but it didn't explain the Trojan horses. The unsettling thing was how the sex dolls were based on Cylon technology. Were they connected to the Cylons we had fought in the war and hadn't heard from ever since? Well, they were. I had started monitoring all data traffic in Gaius' lab. The computers there picked up some broadcast messages which I couldn't trace to a source. The data contained software patches for the skin jobs. So apparently the good doctor Baltar hadn't developed the skin jobs. The software had come from the Cylons, but they made sure that he believed he did it. Clever little toasters. Once I had pieced it all together, I wasn't sure what to do. There was a massive threat to colonial security, but it involved one of the most celebrated scientists and the president of the colonies. Gaius solved the problem for me. Somehow he must have figured out that I was onto him. One morning the police are storming my house, arresting me on rape charges. And the evidence was all there. A banged-up victim with my semen in her vagina. Guess who she was? One of Gaius' skin jobs. Adair even got involved, making sure that I was locked up for good. After a couple of years of serving in a federal prison on Aquaria, my lawyer got me a pardon hearing in Caprica. It must have escaped Adair and Gaius, and that's how I got onto the Astral Queen.
Guard, get the prisoner onto my Raptor. We gotta get over to the Galactica. Admiral Adama needs to hear your story. Galactica, this is Starbuck. Requesting to dock.
Starbuck, permission to dock granted. Hang on a sec. The scanner detected 3 raiders at 2 o'clock.
Acknowledged. 3 toasters at 2 o'clock. I'm on to them. Oh my shiny friend, why are you running away from me? Bring it on, toaster baby. That's all you got? That's nothing. Bye. Frack, we are going to get hit.
Starbuck, can you hear me?
Duck? What happened? Nothing good if I have to face you, I suppose.
Your Raptor was shot when you pursued the raiders. It was the last one standing. You took out the other 2. The Vipers were just coming along. They took out the 3rd. There is an explosion after the hit. Your passenger was blown to pieces. The cockpit shielded you from the blow. Who was the passenger?
What passenger? Why was I flying a Raptor?
You are returning from interviewing prisoners at the Astral Queen. Don't you remember?
Not a thing.